Hey, glad you're here. Glad we're all here together again. So the fun part about this is I got some popcorn, and I'm kind of like getting a feeling that you guys are kind of excited about being here. So I'm going to say, like, trying to get to the basic theme right away. And I'm going to bring in Mark Sweetman for the off night. That's right, you're at the off night, folks. Let's welcome Mark Sweetman. Well, let's not welcome Mark. Oh, there he is.
All right.
Bam.
All right. Thank you. Hey, how about that? All right.
That was a quickie.
I'm just trying to use the theme song. And hold on, let me get you out here. Here we go. All right, there we go. There's Andy. All right. Just trying to use it. Because we have it. I think we need to I think we need to pre-record that. That's the next thing I'm working on.
No, I agree with you. Gotta
pre-record that opening.
You know,
Have it be the same. Have it be the same every week. If we have guests, have some chroma keyed names swirl around or whatever they do, and try to make it fancy. Anyway, good to be back on the off night. As you can see there on the screen, episode number 215 of the off night. Can you believe we've been doing this for 215 episodes? This is a lot of fun. Now it started off being comics who were inside for the pandemic. We weren't being able to do shows.
Yeah.
And I had Seth Ressler, who's a local radio guy, approached me. He says, "Yeah, you know all the comics. I'll get you to." And you were in Los Angeles and toured the country and everything. You know some people. You can bring some people on. And so we did that. And he bailed out after about 8 weeks. I'm just kidding. I think it was more like 15 weeks, but still. He said, I got to make a living. I got to go back into it. He says, and then he realized that, he's helping out comics, that there's always going to be comedy. He says, radio, the pandemic shouldn't have hurt them at all because people should be listening to radio during a pandemic. Well, anyway, and that's neither here nor there. He went out. And so I approached Andy to be my co-host. I took over the technical end. There we go. And that's where the show went to hell.
I know. It's like,
I am no technical person, as you can tell by my backdrop here.
Oh.
Anyway, my wife is very technical, and I'm just thinking it out loud. And she's backstage, and she's ready to come on, and I'm saying it out loud. And I know saying this, she'll give me a hard time about it. I deserve it, but I should. If I asked her nice, she'd probably take over the technical end because she's more technical than I am. She was a professional videographer before she got into the law.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. In fact,
did she do more than like weddings, or she do other things than that besides that?
Oh, no. She had professional equipment that she didn't even own. This wasn't like she was a wedding video or something.
Did she shoot crime scenes?
I bet some of them were, but they shouldn't have been. If they were crime scenes, she was shooting for the doctors who would have been defendants in any particular legal matter. But anyway,
so it's like she was the verdict.
I don't want to talk about her. I'm just saying she's more technical than I. She can talk about it when she comes out. In fact, why don't we bring her out, because she always opens up our show with her news of the week in rhyme. So let's bring her out here. Yep, here she is. Here's Susan.
Rhyming time.
My bride, my tech heavy bride. I guess for a woman you shouldn't use the word heavy. I guess she's tech. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, tech proficient. There we go.
That's what he says is true, but mostly it was medical videos that I made. But I'm an artist at heart. That's why I write poetry. Would you like your poem?
Yes, give us your poem. We're ready to hear it.
Okay. A Michigan splash pad shooting occurred on Father's Day. Then shooter killed himself. Don't know why, reporters say. In Ukraine, the soldiers now have United States support. No peace talks with Russia. Can you hear Putin's report? Tony Awards happened. The best play was Stereophonic. The Outsiders won Best Musical. The Glamour, it was chronic. Did the Pope and 100 comedians walk into a bar? Don't know, but they all met at the Vatican afar. Last month, Walmart employee Dylan Beard is living the dream. He'll be hurtling in Paris. He made the U.S. Olympic team.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the poem. We were talking about. Let's get everybody else out here. Here's our friend, and always has a joke for every topic. Always has some great stories, and we just loving having him on our show. And he's from New York, and he could look down on us because we're from Detroit, but he doesn't. He's our good friend Sam Greenfield. Everybody, here he is.
Ha! Oh, hi.
Hi, Sam. You made it.
All right.
Hello, country. Hello, my bumpkin friends.
and
Sam.
And our fifth guest tonight, or our fifth host, or whatever we call it, the participant. We like him for all of the particular groups he covers. He's our only Republican. He's our only homosexual. He's our only person from born and raised in Ypsilanti. Here he is, Jason Grant. Everybody.
I'm now the spokesman for the real life Dick Cheney sex doll. So
real life, yeah.
Dick Cheney sex doll. All you gotta do is plug it in, get the pacemaker to go, and pour ice in it. And you're good to go. It's just nice to be joining you from Bumpkin Land, and just say hello to the mayor of New York. Hey Sam, quick question.
Are you okay?
New York's just instituted some
any
mileage
stories you have questions about in my poem?
I can't hear you.
I say
Can
New
I
York
just
has
not
just
hear
done
anybody?
this.
I guess I can't hear anybody.
Done this thing where you have to pay to be in certain areas with a car.
Oh, you mean congestion pricing?
Yeah. What's your take
that
on
was
that?
voted down.
You're there.
The governor kiboshed that.
The governor.
Oh, they
not before they started it.
Yeah, before they started it.
What was your opinion of it? You're there.
She said that. Well, I don't have a car, so it doesn't affect me. But she said that it just, at this time, it just wasn't a good idea. It's an amazingly unpopular idea.
Okay.
That if you drive into New York past, let's say 59th Street, there's a fee of like $20.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's a horribly unpopular idea.
It's every time. So if you're driving a delivery truck, you're going in. Or
I think
out
they get some kind of deal.
Street.
Trucks in New York, like you see, like a parking ticket on their car, on their truck. They make a deal with the city. Let's say, here's the fact: we're gonna allow you $1,000. Okay, you're going to give you $1,000, and if you pass that amount, then you have to start paying the tickets. And people agree to that. If you're in a delivery truck, and because it's $115 ticket here.
Right.
Sure.
So they're fine with that. They're fine with that.
Left 9 cents, and then you're at your max.
Cheaper to pay the ticket.
The San Francisco system, they have $1,000 tickets sometimes.
$1,000?
Wow. Yeah. My brother said
they don't want you there.
You
one of many reasons.
Yeah, $1,000.
Jesus.
Well, I just
getting revenue, keeping people out. They could do it that way, and just say, okay, no $20 coming in, but if you park in the wrong spot, it's $1,000.
What amazes me about San Francisco is not only are their rents higher, get this, than New York, but their apartments are smaller.
Whoa! How do you?
that? $3,000.
You're paying for the extra movement,
square feet.
Okay?
Huh?
You're paying for the extra movement every other day. You have no idea when your house is going to be shaken up. You don't get that in New York. That's an extra.
They don't have that many earthquakes in San Francisco. Come on.
Well, but you go online and you see all these people with these incredibly tiny New York apartments that are like, a walk-in closet with maybe a microwave, possibly what looks like. Well, in jail we had them, the one-piece toilet wash bowl drinking fountain, that made you kind of feel like you were in some, Lou Reed's video or something. And yet now that's moved from the world of penology into, modern living. I mean, and again, how representative that is of all the real estate in New York, I don't fucking know. But it's what gets put up online, and people saying they're paying $3,000 a month.
Our first apartment was in a high rise in downtown Detroit, and it was, what was it, like 100 square feet? And the joke was I created
more than 10 by 10, but it wasn't very big. It was a studio apartment. But
yeah, it was a studio apartment. We put a bookshelf. We put a bookshelf in the middle of it to divide it, and a bookshelf with a backing on it so that we could have a back to it. And then as a joke, I put up a big map that was a "You Are Here" sign for this very tiny apartment.
That's funny that Mark says that, but I actually do that on graph paper. I measured it.
Oh boy. Oh,
that's right. That was, I'm sorry, that's Susan that did that.
Well, but look, you guys have seen the movies from the early 70s when they went out into areas and like the 7-Ups or French Connection, and you could see there was large sections of New York that weren't exactly pristine at that time. What has that stuff all been like?
What they don't
run over,
excuse me, what they don't have now, which they had in the 70s and early 80s, are SROs.
What are those?
Single room occupancy.
Okay.
Paul Schaefer lived in one for many years until he got married, because
really?
Schaefer, he worked all the time, so and he wasn't married, so he just needed enough room to, for a hot plate and a bathroom, and that was it.
He probably ate dinners out.
Started making money with Letterman, and then of course he got married, and he's been married a long time. And
to a woman?
Yeah.
Paul Schaefer?
Yeah.
Wrote It's Raining Men?
Oh yeah.
Well, don't forget, before Letterman, he was working on Saturday Night Live.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been a working musician in New York for as long as I've been alive. I mean, the guy had hell of a. I didn't know he was straight. Okay, I mean, it's nothing.
I don't know if he
him.
knew, but
is your crush then?
Yeah, he may not know, Jason.
He may not be aware of it, Jason, but
Well, I think when he rolls over and kisses his wife, he's gonna have an idea that there's something going on there. I should hope.
Yeah, they have 2 kids.
Yeah. Well, you see, there you go. I mean, so somebody shot a live.
So he had
somebody. I mean,
but there are congressmen who are married and have kids and are gay.
Let's not bring Senator Schumer into this right now, Sam.
Hey.
let's.
Hey.
He and Lady G have had a relationship, and we're just gonna say they're reaching more than just across the aisle. It's across the aisle. It's across a bedroom.
If I was a political person who's one of my representatives was Larry Craig, I might be silent.
Well, Larry was for quite some time.
Do you remember what happened? I'll never forget this. The Bell Bathroom thing in St. Paul.
Hey, it was totally misunderstood. He had a wide stance. That's all it was.
That was hysterical. But my thing was, he goes, "I'm not gay. I've never been gay."
No.
And I thought, no one says that who's gay. I've never been gay. What, you're walking down the street and go, I had a nice meal. Damn it, I have to blow somebody. No, come on. What are you talking about? But when he left after making that little speech, somebody in the audience went, I love this. They go, "Come on, Larry, be gay. Just say it."
I've been alive so long that I remember when gay just meant light, happy.
Yeah, that was 1922, Susan. So,
well, this is the last time you'll see me this young. Next week I'll be older.
I remember, the Flintstones. I always wondered about because they were having a gay old time.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
Well, that's funny. I think maybe it was the movie The Boys in the Band.
That was a phrase.
So probably the 50s. The 50s was the last time that the gay had a non-connotation.
I think The Boys in the Band.
Didn't they take on gay to get rid of the queer phrase?
Yeah, I think something like that. And
I don't
and
know.
queer,
I didn't ask any.
Well, queer is acceptable now.
not
Yeah,
not
that's
to
the weird.
me.
So it comes
Not to
back.
me.
It all comes back.
You use that one at me, you're gonna get a fistful of something, and it ain't gonna be pleasant, and not gonna be a nice time.
Yeah.
You can call me.
Gay
You
is
can call
also
me
a woman's name.
You can call me all kinds of names,
You know
and
what?
I'll be like, that's fine. That one I will not sit with. I do not like it at all.
Kicking.
What name?
You know
Oddly
why?
enough,
Queer.
kicking ass is not. Kicking
Oh,
ass
okay.
is not.
Because
queer.
you're not a young person.
It
Yeah.
is the
They're
N
fine
word.
with it.
It is the N word of my particular generation
No,
and
no,
ilk.
of your generation, yeah. But
And
if like
ilk,
a younger
yeah.
person, they're fine with it.
They have no problem with it.
But
None.
you know,
And-
that's what happens with language. Words change meaning.
Oh,
For
they do.
example, the word awful means terrible, but
Yeah.
when the word was around a couple hundred years ago, it meant full of awe.
Yeah. Well,
But now it just means terrible.
the problem is, Susan, we're the last two people who were around back then. So yeah. It's
Well, I'm about to
around.
end my journey around the sun and start a new one on Wednesday. So
Ooh.
There you go. There you go.
So-
we're gonna celebrate Juneteenth.
So let me
Yeah,
let me tell you
Juneteenth.
about how happy my life is. Tomorrow, I'm getting up at 5:15 to take
Yeah?
my wife for her colonoscopy.
Oh dear.
And when I say no shit, and she's living with a man, me,
Yeah.
who has to drink 8 glasses of water a day.
Oh dear.
So there's a lot of hold it here.
Mhm.
And then I don't.
Or how
I
about
don't
how
know
about
if-
how
I
long
don't know
are you
if
going to be in
Gentiles.
there? How long are you going to be in there?
Yeah.
No, that's my favorite expression. You coming out soon?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
You might want to have a spare bucket.
Well,
Who was it?
what
Neil
happens is
Simon?
the
On
security
that
guard.
note,
The security guard has their own bathroom, and they like me, so they let me use it.
Remember the old Neil Simon? How long? What are you doing in there? Trying to phone the czar? I think it's from Brighton Beach Memoirs or someone.
My favorite line from any movie from that genre of Jewish playwrights
Yeah.
is, and it's a simple line. It's not clever. It's just funny, and it's the
Right.
way he delivers it. And I've told you this before. Woody Allen in Small Time Crooks, when he comes home, and Tracy Ullman says, "Ray, is that you? Is it me?" "No, it's the Pope. I always wanted to see your apartment." That just kills me. Oh God! So now here's if you want to hear it, here's my Hiram Caston story.
Yes.
Okay. So
Oh yes.
Hiram,
Wait. Hold it, Sam. Sam, hold on. We need to tell people who Hiram Caston was because we started talking about this before we went live. So Hiram Caston was a comic from the 70s and 80s mostly. I mean, he was still working right up, until the last few years when he really got sick. But beloved by all the comics, just a great guy.
and a nice guy, yeah.
Just a super nice guy. All right, go ahead. Tell your Hiram Caston
And
story.
so
He passed away. Over the
we are
weekend.
in Baltimore, and it's me. And do you remember Bill Keller?
I do not.
It's
How
okay.
would I know him? Where
He's
would
a
I know-
comic from New York, and
New York?
he
Never
was
went to
the worst
LA. If they
hypocrite. He was the worst
If
hypocrite
they didn't
ever.
go to LA, I probably. Oh, really?
Huh?
Go ahead.
He was the worst hypocrite. I don't know, is there a good hypocrite? But he was a hypocrite because he would always talk in his act about his wife and how blah, blah, and family man. And he would hit on anything with a discernible pulse. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If she moved, she was in trouble. And so it's me and Bill Keller and Hiram Caston. And Hiram was headlining. And Hiram says to me, "Listen, I'm going to screw with Keller." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, watch." He said, "You're opening, right?" I said, "Yeah." So he goes up to Keller. He goes, "Listen, I was talking to the owner of the club. Sam's going to middle." "What? No, I know you can't. I'm just kidding, Bill." 20 minutes later, he just, I actually wasn't kidding. You do have to open. And he just toyed with him. And I go, why do you do that? He goes, because he's a dick. That's why. Oh, I'm a great family man. Hi. Are you still alive? I'd like you. Oh God. What a horrible human being. So it's me, Keller, and Hiram, and a comic from Baltimore named Dan Rosen, who was not in the show.
I remember Dan.
But it was hanging out, just hanging out. And I don't know how these people got involved with us, but it was a Marine, a young Marine, like 22, 23, and his girlfriend. And we all go up to Hiram's room, getting high, and all of a sudden, we don't see Hiram, and we don't see the girlfriend. And they both come back about a half hour later, and Keller says to me, were they doing it? I said, no, they were playing Parcheesi. What's wrong with you? And they were. And the Marine was totally oblivious to this. He had no idea what was happening. None.
Oh, boy.
And then about 20 minutes after that, she disappears again with another guy. I'm trying to think of his name. Me. And and we come back, and I'm thinking, if this Marine wakes up, I'm a dead man. And then Hiram comes out of the bathroom in his underwear, in his briefs, with a T-shirt, saying, "Does anybody have a light?" Because he had a cigarette. And I said to a friend I was with, I said, "We're leaving now." And he goes, "Why are we leaving?" Why are we leaving? Because the Marine is eventually going to see what's happening, and I can't beat him up.
Yeah,
And
time to get out of the way.
Yeah. And so on the way home, he goes, "Did you do anything with that girl?" And I said, I really didn't. I kept saying, I don't think this is the first time she's been involved in this kind of who's next, thing. So I just decided not to. And so I saw Hiram about 2 weeks later, and I said, did that Marine ever catch on? And he goes, amazingly, no.
Well, sometimes men see what they want to see,
I think it was the fact he was young.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, they wouldn't do that.
Oh, yes, they would.
And he didn't know comic. You know what the you know how rock and roll people, when a girl follows a band around, they're called groupies.
Yeah.
Mark, do you remember what the nickname was for girls who follow comics around?
Jokies.
Gag hags.
Oh boy.
Oh,
that rhymes with a certain woman that I'm familiar with.
Gag hags and laughies.
Yeah.
Laughies. I like laughies.
I
like laughies more.
Not that Mark ever indulged, because he was married to Susan, and that was that. And I guess whenever you're any kind of fame, there's always going to be somebody, you turn around, there's somebody who's willing and whatnot to accommodate. I don't know. I guess. I mean,
I'm surprised you didn't know Bill Kelly. He was around for a long time, Mark.
Yeah, I may have. You know what? I may have known him, but he never did. He ever go to L.A.? Usually.
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, Hiram, and you mentioned Dan Rosen. He was out in L.A. for a while, so these are where I ran into all these people. All the people I know from New York, where I met them out in L.A. Really. In fact, my first trip to New York was when I auditioned for the Letterman show. And that was set up for me by, what's his name? Man, he's gone now. I'm trying to think of his. No. He wrote How to Talk Dirty and Influence People, the biography of Lenny Bruce. What was his name?
Oh, I remember that. I remember that.
I could see his face. We actually became very good friends, and
Google it.
He got me. Yeah, I'll find out who it is. Paul Krasner.
Okay, yeah.
Who?
Paul Krasner.
Paul Krasner.
Oh, Paul Krasner.
Did he write the book
Yeah,
that
he
they
did.
based the movie on?
Which
He
one?
must have. He wrote the book.
There was the book, or there was the movie, Lenny, starring Dustin Hoffman and Valerie Perrine, if memory serves.
Oh, that
Well,
was
that was
Lenny.
Lenny.
Yeah, but that was based on
Yeah.
a book.
No,
Lenny-
Lenny was based. No, Lenny was based on a screenplay. That had nothing to do with that. What
Okay.
Mark's talking about.
the book and the movie are not related to each other. But
Okay,
anyway,
all right, I stand corrected.
Krasner saw me in Vegas at one of the comedy. Do you ever do the comedy convention, Sam?
Me? Yo, yeah.
The one in Riviera.
I refer
saw
to
me
it
there
as the sadness.
He was there. He was sent there. They didn't send a reporter. They sent him as a freelance for the Los Angeles Times to report on the comedy convention. And I did. My set was after Milton Berle's keynote
Oh God.
address. And I did. I did a very meta inside Hollywood, inside comedy type of thing. And I did jokes like, every time my kid thinks I work at the airport, and every time I tell him, no, I'm working in town, and he goes, where are you working? I said, the Improv. He goes, Melrose or the Valley? I'm explaining. I got a 4-year-old kid that's already becoming Hollywood. He's asking me Melrose or the Valley. And now, of course, everybody in the industry's there, and that's pretty much all the audience was. There weren't really that many pedestrians or civilians there. And so Krasner came up to me afterwards. He goes, "That was great," because I did a couple jokes about Bud Friedman too. He says, "Everybody's kissing Bud Friedman's ass here, and you're just making fun of the whole situation." So he ended up doing a story about me. Didn't get picked up by the LA Times, but one of the local, the LA Reader picked it up. And so and then I started writing for, he had a magazine called The Realist, which was much bigger in the 60s and 70s than it was in the 80s when I was writing for it. But I wrote a couple of satire pieces for him for that. So he got me. That's how I got in with him, and he knew people at the Letterman show, and that's how I got my auditions for the Letterman show. Never made the show, but that's what I went to New York
About
for. 15
years ago. Yeah, Andra was 10. I come home, and I say to her, "Guess what? Daddy was in a movie today." And she goes, "Background, huh?" I swear.
I love that. And then this is my 4-year-old saying this stuff, right? I'll never forget, they're shooting a scene from Moonlighting in our neighborhood because we live by the airport. And I'm basically, I'm with him. He hadn't taken his training wheels off his bike yet. So I'm kind of with him the whole time. And we come upon this set along the parking lot C there, and there's no Sybil Shepherd, but Bruce Willis is there, and so we walk by, and I go, "Hey, look, Michael, there's David Addison," which was the character.
Right.
I wouldn't know the name Willis, so I use a character. I go, "There's David Addison," and Bruce Willis looks down and goes, "Hey, kid," and he goes, "David Letterman," and he goes, "All right, let's keep moving along."
Well, you remember Billy J, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he was in the movie Billy Bathgate.
I do remember that. Yep.
Dustin Hoffman,
Yeah, Dutch.
Nicole
plays
Kidman, Bruce Willis, Steve
Yep.
Buscemi.
Yep.
And he had 7th billing. 7th. And his ego just exploded. It just exploded.
Over 7th billing?
Well, yeah.
I mean, you're not a 5 and under, but I mean,
no, not well. I don't know if he was or not. I got to tell you, I don't think he had 5 lines.
Wow.
I really don't. It wasn't a big cast. But anyway, I think it was a movie, originally a book by E.L. Doctorow, who wrote Ragtime.
Yeah.
And so, And so we're all at Catch a Rising Star, and Bruce Willis comes in. Bruce Willis used to be a waiter in New York, and he always got around on roller skates. That was his thing. And he's there.
E.L. Doctorow.
E.L. Doctorow, right?
Mhm.
And he comes in. Bruce Willis comes in, and Billy is talking about him like they're roommates. Okay. And Bill McCarty, who's a lovely guy, Bill McCarty says, "I'll bet you $1,000 that Bruce Willis will not remember him." And I said, "That's a fool's bet. I will not take that bet." And Bill goes, "Oh, come on. I need the money." And I said, "Oh, no. So Bruce Willis comes in, and Billy is standing there, and he goes, "Bruce." And Willis walks by him like he was a portrait, like he wasn't there. Now, I decided not to say anything like, "Wow, I didn't know you guys are so tight," or anything like that. I just let it go, because I figured, look, he's bleeding. I don't want to be salt, just let it go. But then he says, "Yeah, Bruce was really busy." And McCarty goes, "He's just standing there, Billy. Jesus Christ, he's not busy." And I thought,
oh dear.
Why did Billy have to open his mouth? All he had to do was just let it go. It's like getting punched in the jaw. You don't have to go, "It didn't hurt." Just let it go.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do it.
You're not going to win this round. Move on.
Do you know where he lives now, Mark?
Jay?
Billy J.
No, I don't.
I could give you from now until next year. You will never guess. Winnipeg.
Was
Really?
he sentenced to that, or did he? Is he?
He
on the
married a girl
lam?
from Winnipeg. She
Oh,
died.
that'll do it.
It was his second wife. Sylvia was his first wife. She died.
Right.
I never knew what she died from. She was young too. And I think he still lives there. But the thing about Billy is, wherever he is or whatever he does is the best. Okay. So I heard that he was in town, and somebody said, "You're going to see him." I said, I can't go through. Tell me why Winnipeg is the greatest city on the eastern, and I don't want to hear it. I mean, I've been to Winnipeg. I've performed in Winnipeg. It's a very nice place. It really is. And the people are not.
It's probably a great place. He probably thinks it's great because rent's $1.
Well,
Yeah.
it went up, but you live there, you like it. That's great, but please don't tell me New York sucks and Winnipeg. Just stop. I didn't say he said that. I'm not saying he said, but it would have come to that.
So what's your take on the Pope? What's your take on the Pope having an audience with all those comics?
I wasn't a fan of his two Jews walk into a sepulcher. I wasn't a fan of that.
Two Jews walk into a confessional.
He's expanding his horizons. Who was there? Tig Notaro was there.
Oh wow.
Yep. Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg, Chris Rock.
Tig Notaro. Tig Notaro.
He better be careful, because John Paul I let you know that you say the wrong thing to the wrong, your papacy could end rather abruptly. And this guy's been ruffling feathers for a few years now. He's not saying the usual sort of Italian Pope kind of things.
Well, he's Argentinian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's not playing. I mean, you have to know the rules of the Curia to kind of get to where you get. But now that you're in charge, like I say, there's a 2,000-year infrastructure underneath you.
I think he's reasonably safe. I think he fired a lot of the guys. I don't know how you fire a bishop, but I know you have to move him diagonally.
There are ways to get him out of, hey, look, I mean, he was the first guy to get the job while his predecessor's still alive.
That's true.
I mean, Cardinal Ratzenberger decides to take a powder and spend a few. I mean, his golden years, as it were. Now that he got all the kid fucking charges, pretty much tamped down, he moves along because that was his job. That was his job when he was the bag man for John Paul II. That was essentially his job when he became.
But Ratzenberger,
the Pope.
what really wasn't that smart. When the Pope before him said, "I want these guys fired," he said, "Do I have to move them diagonally?" And he thought,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Thank you. let me ask you.
Every time I heard Bishop Ratzenberger, I thought he would walk into the Vatican and go, Norm,
Hey, Normie, how you doing? It's nice to see you.
We were lucky.
Yeah, Normie, it's a long tradition in the Catholic Church there.
Hey.
They're going to have to vote, and then they'll send the smoke up if it's dark smoke.
Hey, Norm, how's it going? I'll tell you how it's going. Life is a, what is it?
Oh, it's a dog. It's a
doggy
dog wearing
milk
underwear.
Shorts.
Yeah.
I
got it before you did. Come on, okay.
Hey, Norm, how's it going? How's it hanging? All 4 cheeks and 2 chins.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Let me ask you a question, since I'm the only Jew here. I had my sister-in-law Dorothy passed away last year, and there's a tradition in the Jewish religion where they have an unveiling of the gravestone. And I'm asking because I don't know. That doesn't exist anywhere in Christianity, does it?
Unveiling?
Not quite like that. No.
An unveiling.
No. We're pretty much just hurry up, get them in the ground. They're going to start smelling in a few minutes.
Well, no, but but Jews are famous for getting them in the ground as quickly as possible.
Well, they have good reason.
No, we embalm them.
Yeah,
exactly. We have what, Andy?
We embalm them. They're going to have a second life. Don't you realize that? Yeah. Don't you realize when Jesus comes back, we're going to raise the dead and they're going to take them up that way? So
I had an aunt.
It's going to scare the hell out of people when the dead start coming up out of the ground, man. It's not.
Well, I had an aunt whose husband died, and they asked her. I mean, it's unheard of that the wife doesn't go to the unveiling. And so they asked her. They said, "I heard you weren't going to the unveiling." She goes, "Oh, I'm definitely going. I want to make sure that son of a bitch is dead." I said, "Are you serious?" She goes, "Sammy, you were so young when you were, around us. You couldn't feel the hate." And I said, "Really?" She said, "I hated him." I said, "Why'd you stay married?" She goes, "It was the 50s. You stayed married." Yeah. I said, "Well, were you seeing another guy?" She goes, "Yes." Yes. And I said, "Did he make you happy?"
Your point.
And so I said, "Are you still seeing him?" She goes, "Yes." Did Uncle Leonard know? "I don't care." And she was saying it in that tone. "I don't care."
Yeah.
So
my whole thing about Jewish funerals is that they happen so quickly you sometimes miss them.
Yeah, it's born. You have to be returned the day of or the day after.
Yeah.
And there's another thing. Sitting Shiva, prayer for the dead. It goes on for 30 days unless these 30 days runs into a Jewish holiday, at which point it's stopped. And there are enough Jewish holidays to sink the Bismarck.
There you go. So when you sit Shiva, does somebody host that, or is it always?
Yes, it's hosted. It's hosted usually at the home of the. It depends. Like my brother died, and then my sister-in-law died, so there was no one in that immediate husband wife deal to do anything. But
now, would somebody from the synagogue pick that up, or?
Well, my nephew Mark, who is their son, who is, how old is Mark? 60. He's 60 something. He's a lawyer in Cleveland, and he's the most religious of any of the kids. Well, they're not kids, but you know what I'm saying. He's the most religious, so he would be the one conducting it. But he's not, he's not going to stay down in D.C., for a month to do it.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't. Would he? I can't believe he would. That's unfathomable to me that he would. But who knows? But I was calling my niece Debbie, who's like a kid sister to me, and I said, "Are you going to Dotsie's unveiling?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, it's for Robin. Robin is their daughter,
Right.
who's the nicest human being on the planet. So, and a kind, thoughtful. So, and that's the reason I'm going. It's for her. It's because I want her to know I'm there for her. And she's married. Her wife is Debbie, and they've been together. Jesus Christ. Well, when they got married, it's funny. They said, Robin said to me, "Listen, I wanted you to know, Debbie and I are getting married." And I said, "Oh, that's great. When's it going to be?" Margaret and I said, she said, "Sam, calm down. We've been together 25 years. We're just going to City Hall. I do, and then go back to work."
Yeah.
She said, "It's sweet of you to say, but no, we're not having ceremony. It's over."
Yeah. Well,
And I said, "Okay." So I said, "So what you're saying is you're too cheap to spring for a buffet." She goes, "Exactly."
Hey, with the unveiling, I mean, do they literally have a headstone somewhere covered, and then
Yes.
the rabbi? I'm assuming you would be a
Yes.
rabbi. Would say a
Yes.
prayer and.
Yes. Everything
And
you're
then-
saying, every answer is yes. The only thing that
Okay.
bothers me is, and I think this is tacky, as soon as they pull it off, you always hear the rabbi go, "Ta-da!" I don't think that's right. I think that's, I don't know if
over
that's
the
really
top,
good.
do they have little searchlights, little spotlights, little
Live from, wait a minute.
Well, up
Not
until
so live.
recently, yeah,
It's the quickest ceremony you can imagine.
I mean, my mother was so. When she passed away, the funeral people were the most disappointed ever because they're like, "Well, did she want to be buried?" She's like, "No, she wanted nothing to do with being buried. She wants to be cremated." And they're kind of like, "Well, they know they're not going to sell a casket now," and they're like, "Okay, fine." Well, she has to be in a container. The state requires, and we do have this wonderful wooden box. It's like $2,000, or you have a cardboard box for $100, and we're going to. We'll take the cardboard. And they're like, "Okay, great."
She won't mind.
No, she would have come back from beyond the grave to slap us. We as I told you guys before, we lived next to a cemetery. She was a vicious funeral critic. I mean, but you know what? We kept her ashes. She's at my brother's house where they put.
I'm sorry. That's funny. She's at my brother's house.
She's at my brother's house, and they put her in this one little place that they made, this little hill that has a bench on top of it and some very nice trees. And I'm thinking, that's about as good as you're going to get, really, when you think about it. I mean,
I've got a urn.
The rest of it, I don't know.
I've got a small urn with my dad's ashes up on the mantle over the fireplace.
Describe small.
Those little mini water bottles that you'll sometimes see? I mean, the real small ones.
Right, the midget bottles, right.
The midget bottles, about that size.
I'm talking about the Rhode Island can beat the crap out of it in the war, right?
Yeah. No,
Well,
but my dad found out about cremation when my brother, his son, died in Los Angeles. And the cost of flying everything back to Detroit, we had a funeral in Los Angeles, and then we had another one in Pontiac where he was born and grew up and everything. But when we found out what the cost was for flying a casket home and flying ashes home, wow, that made the decision very simple.
Yeah, I bet it did.
I asked, Barbara said, "Do I mind being cremated?" I said, I'm going to be dead. I don't care.
Yeah.
She goes, "How about if we throw in some briquettes?" I said, I don't know. That's tacky.
Yeah.
I gave my list. I gave my wife a list of about 8 songs that I wanted. This play. What it doesn't have to be at the funeral, but just like at a reception or something like that. I just like people to know that these are the songs that I thought enough to leave for beyond my life, to let them know that these meant something to me.
Well, I know this, that when I go, my brother has made instructions that the plot will be fairly simple, but he is going to have a dance floor installed on top of it. So that'll be his.
A dance floor on your grave? I like that.
Well,
too.
yeah, well, and I couldn't help but notice the headstone he picked out looked amazingly urinal-esque, but
I like that too.
that's the, that's just him. I mean, he's.
I worked with a guy at Walden Books, and he ended up doing a overdose, but he was in a band. So we were invited to the wedding, or not the wedding, but the funeral.
Same thing.
And the funeral started off with, Frank Sinatra doing My Way. And then each song after that was different bands singing My Way. So by the end of it, it was like,
I like that.
Sid Vicious going My Way. It's like, so it was like an hour of My Way songs.
The only song I want at my funeral is You Can Close Your Eyes by Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Nice tune, Linda Ronstadt. Oh boy.
J.D. Souther wrote that, but I love that song, and I love the way she sings it. Either
Great
that
writer.
or that and Carole King singing "It's Too Late."
Mm-hmm. It's too late.
God, boy, talk about someone she got punched around in the business. She ended up coming out on top.
Who, Carole King?
Carole King. I mean, by the time she got Tapestry
but
made,
she's richer than Roosevelt. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I know, but she and Jerry Goffin didn't have the best of relationships, and I hear about, she wrote hit songs for the Monkees, and they would go into the recording studios, and the Monkees would just shit all over her, and I'm like, this is Carole King.
There's something funny about saying the Monkees would shit all over her.
They were throwing poo. They were just throwing poo at her,
I hope you mean the group.
Yes. But I mean, the disrespect that these women got shown. Rita Coolidge, who writes the piano outro for Layla, as I've detailed, gets told to go fuck herself, and it's like, this is Rita Coolidge. To me, she's something of an institution in American music, and and they were like, well, back then in the music business, you just had to take Carly Simon, who her producer for the album where she produced You're So Vain, just did not like her at all, although it is recorded at Apple Studios. She's playing the Let It Be piano, and but he's like, she's a spoiled brat who's had everything handed to her on a silver platter, but it's like, Jesus, y'all are really good at creating really toxic
that's actually true.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean he has to be mean to her.
Well, she comes from what, Simon and Schuster, from that
yes,
family?
A lot of money.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when she talks about a man walking on board a yacht, well, she'd know, right? I mean,
that was Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
That was Warren Beatty. Absolutely, it was. I love that it was Mick Jagger singing backup with her on that one, because people were thinking,
did I ever tell you what Warren Beatty's, what he said real success in Hollywood is?
What's that?
He said, you wake up and it's 7:00 in the morning, and you walk out to your pool, and there's 5 women sitting around your pool, and you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
He said that's his. I said,
you know what that is? That's, to me, that's having 3 teenage daughters at the same time.
Well, that's what that is.
We always had girls around, so I wasn't successful.
Oh, that reminds me. Did you see about who Bill Belichick is dating?
Who?
Bill Belichick is 72. He's
Yeah.
dating a former cheerleader for the Patriots who is, get ready, 25.
Perfect.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's just an LA wedding.
must-
Come on,
She must really like the way the way he explains plays to her.
She likes the way he inflates his balls.
Yeah, exactly.
or deflates them, in the case.
Or deflates them, yes.
Deflates
those balls.
She can get a better grip on his balls.
By the same token, gentlemen, if you're unmarried, you're in your early 70s, your career's come to an end, but you're sitting on a pile of cash the size of Mount Everest, and some 25-year-old wants to bang you day and night, what do you say to
No,
something like
no.
that?
I'm not amazed at him. I'm amazed at her. I mean,
Oh, you know what?
you couldn't find a 50-year-old, really?
These chicks would blow Satan and have you, film it. It wouldn't matter. I mean, it's the way it is for some of them. For some, not every one of them.
Let me just put it this way. His cologne is called Spectre of Death.
But that's the whole thing. They want to, they're 20, they marry. He's dead by your 30s. They got the money.
Well, what's in it? Peter Sellers' his last wife. She got all the money. He disinherited the family. He was kind enough to die in his early 50s. So I mean that tells me there is a kind and loving God.
What did he die from? Do you remember, or do you know?
Being a cocksucking son of a bitch would be, but the technical term I think was heart disease.
Peter Sellers.
He was a narcissistic prick motherfucker, and that was what his kids were saying about him. He was a horrible human being, and I never found him to be terrible.
Hey, 4 of my kids came to my show yesterday. So
yeah.
Wait a minute.
I mean,
4.
Well, just like
5
Jerry
of
Lewis.
5 of
I mean,
5 of my kids.
Okay,
his kids are disinherited.
Bing Crosby,
yeah.
Peter Sellers, Jerry Lewis. Who's the worst dad?
Oh,
Jerry Lewis.
Wow.
I'd say Jerry Lewis.
I mean, let's think about this. Let's marinate.
2 of Bing's kids killed themselves.
Exactly. Let's before
after being beaten to death.
Yeah,
and one shot JR.
What? Well,
that's from another wife.
Yeah.
Mary Frances, the one you're talking about, that's from another wife. The wife who spawned the 4 boys, Lindsay, Gary. I don't remember the other 2 names, but Lindsay, Gary, Dennis,
right?
And
they had
and Rudolph.
They had a little singing group. Yeah,
Rudolph. Hey, leave Rudolph out of this. He's still working hard. All right.
But that's a toxic hive of bad parenting. I mean, that's like sort of a crystalline distillation of how to make awful kids that hate you.
But it always comes back to Jerry Lewis, because he left them nothing.
Nothing.
I mean,
nothing. Peter Sellers did the same thing.
Well, when his second wife, I don't know what her real name was, but she went by the name Sam. He's on the Arsenio Hall show, and he says, and Arsenio Hall says to him, I understand that your wife is about to have a baby. And he goes, yes, she is. And they're looking at each other like he's kind of giving off a vibe like, I can still get it up, is essentially the vibe he's giving off.
Yeah, well,
except it was inseminated.
Well, I'm about to say, is the kid going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger's kid? The one he had by the maid.
Well, nothing's worse than if you tell people it's your kid, and the first words out of his mouth are "lady," So.
Oh, lady.
Tana Wanda Hoy.
I forget which comedian said it. He said the Kennedys Arnold marrying into the Kennedys was their attempt to breed a president who could take a bullet, which
I've heard that.
That's not mine. That's someone else's. But that's
I always like the joke like are you hungry? Am I hungry? Does Rose Kennedy have a black dress?
Oh wow.
You guys must remember the one from the 70s that would be scrawled on top of urinals that said, "Don't look now, but you've got Nixon by the neck."
Yes.
From the not a lot of love for Nixon back in the day. Not a whole heck of a lot.
No.
And sadly, explain this: Dick Cheney is still alive.
Who is?
Dick Cheney is sadly still plugged into a machine somewhere and still alive. I mean, he shot his friend in the face after getting drunk and made his friend apologize.
And the friend apologized.
I know.
For getting his face in the way of the buckshot. By the way, when I was on $100,000 Pyramid, that was one of the questions. Yeah. What was the name of the guy he shot?
What? Oh my!
Did you know it?
Me.
Dick Whittington.
Yeah.
Wow.
How much did you take away from that show?
$100,000.
That's
good,
great.
Man.
That's great.
If I had known,
man.
if I had known this question, I would have had 250. But they could have given me till next Christmas, and I wouldn't know it. Here's the question:
Yeah.
which one of these states does not require you to register to vote? Vermont, Nevada, Hawaii, North Dakota.
I would have gone with Nevada, just
North
as a
Dakota.
guess.
North
North
Dakota.
Dakota.
And here's the thing that's funny. I have a friend who knows nothing about trivia. Nothing. So I get
Right.
off the show. I don't know if you know this, but you can't tell people, no one, how you did on the show until it shows.
Right.
Right.
So I'm talking to him, but I could tell him this. I said, I didn't know the answer to that last question. He says, well, what was the question? Let me repeat this. He knows nothing about trivia. And I said, well, which one of these states doesn't require you to register to vote? And before I gave him the 4, he goes, oh, it's North Dakota. I go, how did you know that? He goes, I don't know. I just. So he said, why didn't you call me? I said, I was out of those things. Couldn't do it.
I think right now we have the technology. I don't think we need to have people register to vote.
Well, here's the thing.
Bullshit.
It was actually not true what they said. You have to, if you go to North Dakota to vote, you have to show a driver's license. So you are registering to vote.
Oh, by having a
You have
driver's license?
DNA
Yes.
scans and
And
retinal
so
scans.
somebody said,
Well,
if you
loyalty
knew
oaths.
that, why
in
didn't
the
you say something and they could put you back on the show? I said, I'll tell you why. Because if I had done that and they would have had to spend the money to redo an entire show, the first question I was about to get asked was, what was Akila's wife's brother's cousin's name? Okay. They would have given me the hardest questions possible and got me off that show in 3 seconds. No, I'll take the $100,000. Thank you very much.
Good
As
day.
far as registering, though, they just the budget that the Congress just passed hasn't been passed by the Senate yet, and if it's in this form without the Senate monkeying with it, the president will probably veto it. But in this one, you heard that they raised the draft age from 24 to 26. It's now 18 to 24. They've raised it 18 to 26 for a selective service draft. And in the questioning of it, and in the story that I read, I think it was Washington Post, they said, well, how will they be able to do that? I said, well, they have ways. There's so many places where everybody, they fill out tax forms. They have all these ways of tracking down people that are 24, 25, and 26 to get them as part of the draft, as being registered for the draft. And I'm thinking, well, if they can do that, why the hell do they have to do a census? To me, the census should be a live, moving animal. Let's put a constitutional amendment in there to have a constant census all the time.
Yeah, it shouldn't be every 10 years.
Well, it should be constant. When you move,
Yeah, that's right, because it's too fluid a population now.
It should be constant. When you're born, when you die, when you move, all those things change. Mm-hmm. Right? And so somebody's born, right? Hey, here's your number. Here's your ID. When you're 18, you can go in the voting booth and vote. You have to let us know where you live. You'll do that with a driver's license or a state ID, and then you'll vote and you'll represent that particular district. Also, why would we have to be home to vote? If you are not home, everybody should be able to do an absentee ballot, because they could create the ballot for you wherever you are.
Gotta love it. How do they not know?
Well, it's 59.
Hey, I'm doing my show. Oh, it is 59.
Hey, listen, I feel like
I thought you.
it's
I thought you never
59. It's almost 59. We got to get
You know what?
going.
We only got a minute to go. Let me do the outro music and we'll get out of here. Okay. Here we go.
Like Shelby Foote talking about the history of our show here.
Who's that on there? Who's that with you? Is that Shelby Foote?
Shelby Foote.
Yo, God.
From Burns' Civil War. We're going to be talking about Civil
One
War.
of
The beards of the. We have the beard of Ulysses S. Grant.
I believe he wrote that song, "Young Man from Atlanta."
That's right. That's right. Young man from Atlanta. Please embellish what we're going to be talking about. The bearded man there, Mr.
I was with him when Rip Torn cut a fart and killed an old man.
Well, that
Rip Torn had a smile on his face that just wide as a river when he did that joke. Yeah.
That woman,
gotta wrap it up.
the lady of ill repute. I put my hand in and some.
Historical.
Just, here I am. There. Now I've got everybody muted, and I can say good night, everybody. We're here every Monday night at 8 o'clock. Stick around, you guys. We'll talk after the show. I got to do something, but it's us four. Come in and join us if you want to. Talk to me. Talk to anybody. We can get you on there. We always have the link available for every show. And join us. We don't want to be, 4 white men over 60 of these being the only one. There's plenty of comics all over the place. So. Anyway, good to see you. We'll see you again next week.